I am pleased to welcome our distinguished guest speakers, Mr. Felipe Gonzalez Morales, Special Rapporteur on the Human Rights of Migrants. I open the floor for any comments and questions to the Special Rapporteur, and I give the floor to Eritrea.
Last March, a meeting of young Europeans of Eritrean origin was cancelled because local authorities in a particular European country refused to grant them permission.
I call to order the 25th meeting of the Third Committee of the 72nd session of the General Assembly. I invite the committee to continue its consideration of Agenda Item 72, Promotion and Protection of Human Rights, sub-items B and C. I am pleased to welcome our distinguished guest speakers, Mr. Felipe Gonzalez Morales, Special Rapporteur on the Human Rights of Migrants. I open the floor for any comments and questions to the Special Rapporteur, and I give the floor to Eritrea.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I would like to thank the Special Rapporteur for the right of migrants for his report and briefing. Just to highlight two interrelated matters. First, as you asserted in your report, migration is here to stay with us. Acknowledging this fact is critical because in the past years, with the increase in human mobility and the resulting tragedies, we are losing the perspective. There is a tendency to see migration as a crisis, but not as a common human historical phenomena. Secondly, seeing migration as part of human experience and history enables us to see beyond the immediate and look for a better management of human mobility. It is also important to understand that the right of migrants, the focus should be on protection of the rights and dignity of migrants. Eritrea has one of the most active diaspora communities whose contribution to the struggle for self-determination and independence and nation building has been exemplary. The government's priority for independence has been to ensure the protection of Eritrean communities abroad and that their contribution to national development is encouraged and enabled. In recent years, we have witnessed a worrying sign, including hindrance to the right of migrants to maintain their link with their countries of origin. Last March, for instance, a meeting of young Europeans of Eritrean origin was cancelled because local authorities in a particular European country refused to grant them permission. So my question to the Special Rapporteur is, how could status ensure or take effective measures to ensure that the rights of migrants to maintain their link with their countries of origin is protected, even encouraged, because that also helps in the circular migration. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
I thank Eritrea and give the floor to the Special Rapporteur to respond to questions and comments made by delegations. You have the floor, Mr. Gonzalez Morales.
Gracias, señor presidente.
Thank you, Chair. I'm grateful for the statements made and the welcome given to me at this first opportunity I've had to come before the General Assembly, and the points made by delegations and their questions. I hope to be in a position to answer these questions as well as possible without going beyond the time limit. First, regarding the points made by the delegation of Eritrea, and particularly on how can we maintain and strengthen the links between migrants and their respective countries of origin. I think there are several issues to stress here. One is the question of regulating migrants, because when a migrant is in an irregular situation and fears for his or her life and other human rights, it'll be much more difficult for that individual to retain proper contact with the country of origin. Secondly, we have the question of the ability to organize on the part of the migrants. In my experience on the American continent, there are differences between countries. From what I've seen in other countries, it's also very difficult. There are receiving countries where there is great ease for migrants to form organizations, associations, and take part in civil society's activities, take care of their own rights, including retaining strong links with their country of origin. And then there are other receiving countries where this does not happen at all or less so. Another aspect regarding this question, which was asked by Eritrea, although there are many other issues, but this one is the question of rights to consular assistance, which is a basic concept of access to justice for migrants. And it's also a right which is enshrined explicitly in international instruments, but whose real protection could be further strengthened.